Assalamualaikum and hi, I am Wahida and today I will be presenting the topic age and gender. We will look at how this age and gender influence the linguistic features used by an individual in a community. Now, first we will look at how gender and social class affects one's linguistic features. How does gender interact with social class? In the Western countries, the linguistic features which differ in the speech of women and men are usually features that reflect their social classes. It is proven that men use more vernacular forms than women, and women generally use more standard grammatical forms than men do. Why? Why do women use more standard form than men? What is the relationship between standard and vernacular language with social classes? These are the explanations. The first one is the social class explanation. Linguists believe that women are more status conscious than men. They are more aware that the way they speak signals their social class background. Standard speech forms are generally associated with high status, and women use more standard speech forms, which are the overtly prestigious form, as a way of claiming such status. Next, women's role as guardian of society's values. Since centuries ago, women have been designated the role of modeling correct behavior in the community because they engage more with the family and teach them manners, and this is why society expects better behavior from them. The society expects women to speak more correctly and standardly than men. The next explanation is subordinate groups must be polite. The concept is the same as how children are expected to be polite to adults. Women are seen as a subordinate group and they must avoid offending men by speaking carefully and politely. Well, being polite and using standard form are not the same. You still can be polite using vernacular language, but women use standard form because women are looking after their own need to be valued by the society. It is something to do with the politeness theory. By using standard form, women are protecting their face and avoiding offense to others. They are more sensitive to their addresses. Furthermore, the vernacular forms express machismo. Machismo is a strong masculine pride. The vernacular forms carry macho connotations of masculinity and toughness. Meanwhile, standard forms tend to be associated with female values and femininity. This is why women use standard form more than men, and men use vernacular language because they do not want to be seen as feminine as the women. And lastly, the alternative explanations. Researchers in the early social dialects studies often use the women's husband occupation as their major criterion. They classify women and their speech behavior by their husband's social group. For example, a woman from a different social class, which is higher than the man she married, is expected to use the same form as the husband, but this is not true. Women simply are using appropriate form which accurately reflects their social background. Last but not least, the influence of the interviewer and the context. People tend to adjust or accommodate to the speech of the person they are talking to when they wish to be cooperative. As a result, in many interview sessions by middle class and well-educated interviewers, women tend to use more standard form than the men. Women also use standard form to reflect social distance, especially when being asked a sensitive topic. They use standard form as an indication of their sensitivity to contextual factors because they are speaking with a stranger. This is so much different from the men because they tend to lessen the formality and the social distance. Next, I'm going to talk about the other subtopic, which is age grading and language change. This topic explains how linguistic features of an individual will change as he or she grows older. Linguistic features can be either dialects, slang, jargon, pronunciation, and more. The simpler way to understand this is by looking at the language of the younger people and compare it with the older people. For instance, younger people in New Zealand might say letter for letter in vernacular forms, meanwhile the older people don't. And for example, in Malaysia, the younger generation might use words like dope or swag to express something extremely good or fashionable, but they might not use this expression when they grow older. Another example is the use of dialects in our community. The younger generation's dialects now are not as pure as the older generations. For example, old generations from Kelantan might say, "Gi ambil limut dalam mari." Meanwhile, the younger generations might say, "Pergi ambil selimut dalam mari." And from here, I would say that one's linguistic features will change according to their age or generation. Well, I think that is all from me. Thank you for your attention and have a good day.